Last thing here, March 11th, 2023. Seeing Brent pull out there, and bummer for Brent. No bad energy towards Brent. Hope he recovers, stays with it. But it proves that this can happen to someone else too. We're looking at Nick, we're looking at Jesse. There's sort of question marks in this race. They've been up there a few times, but we're not sure if they're going to be able to get it done this year. I hope they do. I hope they really just run their own dogs. If they bring them in the top 10, if they bring them in the top 5, or if they win, all those different potential outcomes are okay. We just want to finish this race and get there with a happy dog team. And there's plenty of opportunities just to rest the dogs, to travel with the pack around you, and not just go first or scratch. You know what I mean? So I hope those mushers that are competitive, and I know they've got a lot on the line, are able to have that sort of balanced perspective and look at that type of context and just stay in this race, keep moving down the trail, keep resting the dogs, pat the dogs, feed the dogs, and just it's not, they're very close to Nome at this point, and they've got to keep they got to keep their own psychology in their own head, just like they're the lead dog and they're pushing out there in some pressure situations. They've got to just realize that this is a beautiful wilderness adventure that they're on with their best buddies, and Nome is around the corner, for both those guys, and there's no reason why they can't get to Nome in one piece this year. Hopefully, hopefully there's not a reason. I don't know what's going on with their two dog teams, but a little bit of a red flag on those two guys, because what I'm saying with Brent pulling out, other teams might be pulling out too. They covered quite a bit of ground quick, and that they're put, the dogs look okay. With a few times I've seen, Nick Petit's dogs were barking, lunging in the harness, and flying up the trail. Jesse's as well, and posting reasonably fast times, just as good as the other teams around them. So a couple times, both those guys are out there, doing a little bit of a different schedule, resting out there on the trail, and especially Yukon River. I think the psychology of that sometimes can be a little bit, intimidating and not best case scenario versus resting at a checkpoint in that part of the race, just because middle of nowhere by yourself, and it can be pretty cold and lonely out there. So, that might be some of the factors going on as well, but also in the heat of the day, Nick might be just letting him have an extra hour to recharge. And again, Jesse getting a Caltech heat of the day. Why lead the pack when you can chase and get an extra meal on the dogs, and have a longer term perspective in terms of your team management? Again, Unit Cleat's not the finish line.